mute your speakers. Do not put us on hold. We love your music, but we don't all want to hear it. If you look to for those of you that are joining the web portion, you'll see that there is a chat box. Feel free to put any questions that you have in the chat box. We'll get to questions at the end of the presentation. We'd also like for you to, and if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat box. And please mute your phone so that we won't get any background noise. I want to welcome you to the SAMHSA Assisted Outpatient Treatment Peer and Family Shared Values Affinity Group. Here's our agenda for today, and I won't go over it in detail. I think you can all see it. We're starting a little bit late, and we'd like to get to the content of the presentation. Welcome, everyone. This is our kickoff meeting for the Peer and Family Shared Values Affinity Group. For those of you that have joined us, we extended you a hearty and well introduction. At this point, what we'd like to do is to give you all an opportunity before introducing let's introduce the GAINS staff first. My name is Laverne Miller, and as I stated before, I am a senior project associate, and my focus is on the peer and family involvement in all the work that the GAINS Center does. Would the other GAINS Center staff that are on the call, would you introduce yourself?
My name is Ashley Schultz. I'm a project assistant here at PRA, and I've been helping Laverne with the Affinity group.
Okay. And Cassandra, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Cassandra. I'm also a project assistant with the GAINS Center working on AOT as well.
Great.
And I'm also here, Laverne, Dan Avery.
Oh, hi, Dan. How are you? Dan, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, Dan Avery, and I'm supervising 5 of the AOT sites.
Great. And we have two of your GPOs from SAMHSA. They're going to provide a much more extended introduction to themselves and the work that they do and their commitment to the Affinity group. But Miriam and Fowler, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, thank you. This is Miriam Chase. I am a GPO counsel, the lead GPO for AOT grant program.
And Fowler, have you joined us?
Yes, hi, this is Fola Coyote. I'm also a GPO with the AOT grantee program, or grant program.
Okay. And I believe that we're being joined by Melissa Neal, who is the project lead on the Assisted Outpatient Treatment Project. Melissa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. As Laverne said, Melissa Neal, and I'm serving as the TA lead for the TA that's provided through PRA in the GAINS Center for all of the Assisted Outpatient Treatment Grant programs.
Okay, great. So what we're going to do is start in alphabetical order, and what we'd like for you to provide us with your name, the project you work with, your role in the project, and to answer 2 questions briefly, because we'll have a more extended period of time to talk about some of these things later on in the call. But what do you hope to achieve through your involvement with the AOT project? And what do you hope to achieve through your involvement with this affinity group? And we'll start with, is anybody on the call from Alabama? How about California? Florida? Illinois? Kentucky? Maryland? Mississippi? New Mexico? Nevada? Ohio? Oklahoma? Puerto Rico?
Hello.
Hello, Oklahoma?
Yes.
Okay, can you answer those questions, please?
My name is Brendan Ryan. I work for the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, and I work with the Peer Recovery Support Specialist team. I'm a facilitator of program implementation, and I'm hoping to learn more about AOT and how peers can be involved in the process.
Great. Welcome. And I see that we have Mari just listening in from New Mexico. Welcome, Mari. Is there anyone else here from Oklahoma?
No.
Texas, we have 2 projects in Texas. Anyone here from Texas? Okay, Utah?
Hi, yeah. My name is Pete Caldwell. I'm the AOT project manager here in Utah. What I'm hoping to achieve through my involvement with this project as a whole is just to help make the communities where we're providing these services a better place for people to live. And what I hope to learn specifically in this group is maybe the experiences of peer support specialists in other states with the AOT programs and see if we can, take some good things from them and incorporate it to what we're doing out here.
Okay, great. Is there anyone else from Texas? Okay. Utah, once again. Anyone here from Utah?
Oh, I'm from Utah, Pete. Yeah.
Oh, okay, hi. All right. Wyoming? Okay, hi. We have Karen Miller from Wyoming. Welcome, Karen. And Karen is a peer specialist who will be working in our new crisis unit, and she's looking forward to learning more about this. Is there anyone else I believe that someone just joined the call. Can you let us know who you are and what project you're involved in? Okay. Anyone who's not, because I think we have more people, it looks like there are more folks on the line than if, I know a few folks aren't able to speak, they're on listen only. Has anyone not had an opportunity to introduce themselves?
This is Betsy Johnson with Treatment Advocacy Center. I'm on the line as well.
Okay, Betsy, would you like to answer those 5 questions that we posed to the group?
Sure. We're going to be working with the folks at Gaines Center to help provide technical assistance to the grantees, and still a little uncertain as to what my role will be on the Affinity project, but as a longtime family member, I'm happy to assist however I can in helping the projects move forward and getting family and peer involvement.
Okay, well, welcome. And just a moment, I just to make sure that I'm correctly advancing slides. Okay. I just want to tell you a little bit more about myself so you'll understand my interest in working with this project. I'm both a family member and a consumer with a person with lived experience, and I have a son who's currently on an assisted outpatient treatment order. And, I bring to that, in addition to my other expertise around family and peer involvement, a very personal, deep-seated commitment to this affinity group. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Miriam Chase. Miriam?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much, Laverne, and thank you, everybody, for participating. As I said, I am Miriam Chase, and I'm the lead GPO for AOT program, grant program. On the phone with me, as you heard her introduce herself, Fola Coyote, who is working very closely with me, and she is the GPO for Region 3 and 4 and 5, and I monitor Region 2, 6, 8, and 9. On behalf of SAMHSA and the Center for Mental Health Services, we welcome you and thank you for your participation again. We are hoping that this webinar will be very helpful to you. You know, AOT participants and their families are a very important component of SAMHSA AOT grant program. We are very excited to start this affinity group, of course, with the help of our wonderful GAINS Center and their expertise. This group will explore how peers and family members can work together to develop shared values for AOT projects, for working with each other. We also hope that this group will promote greater and more meaningful collaboration between peers and family members involved in this project. And I'm going to provide an overview of SAMHSA AOT program for you. AOT is defined as medically prescribed mental health treatment that an individual with SMI or serious mental illness receives while living in a community under the term of a law authorizing a state or local court to order such treatment. AOT, also known as involuntary outpatient commitment or conditional release, involves petitioning local courts to order individuals to order and remain in treatment in the community for a specified period of time. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. This 4-year pilot program is intended to implement and evaluate new AOT programs and identified evidence-based practices in order to reduce the incidence and duration of psychiatric hospitalization, homelessness, incarceration, and interaction with the criminal justice system while improving the health and social outcomes of individuals with a serious mental illness or SMI. This program is designed to work with families and courts to allow this individual to obtain treatment while continuing to live in the community and their homes. Next slide, please. Okay, now I'm going to tell you what is the role of your GPO. GPO is a federal representative responsible for overall grant monitoring and grantee compliance with the grant requirements. In consultation with DGM, which is the Division of Grant Management, GPO approved all program changes, including budget, project scope, and project director and key personnel on the grant. They conduct quarterly calls, review and discuss your semi-annual report, review and discuss grantee GEPRA and norms, which is the data, the essential data that they put into the computer. They approve field training and technical assistance requests from our grantees, and they have ongoing communication with the grantee and support you and your family in achieving your program goal. Next slide, please. This is a kind of brief snapshot of AOT project. At this point, we have 17 grantees. They are entering the second year of the program. They are Alabama, California, Florida, Illinois, Kentucky, Maryland. We have 2 grantees in Mississippi, in New Mexico, Nevada, Ohio, Oklahoma, Puerto Rico, and 2 grantees in Texas, and as well as Utah and Wyoming. And these projects are providing a wide variety of evidence-based services, including peer support and family psychoeducation. And these projects have identified roles for peers and families. Now I'm going to give the microphone back to Laverne to provide an overview of SAMHSA GAINS Center. Laverne?
Thank you. The GAINS Center is a national TA center that's funded by SAMHSA, and we focus primarily on expanding access to community-based services for adults with mental illness and substance use disorders and trauma histories, with a primary focus on people who are justice involved and the systems that serve them. The center provides technical assistance to the criminal justice and behavioral health fields, and we're fortunate enough to have several SAMHSA grant programs at this time, in addition to the Assistant Outpatient Treatment Program. We provide technical assistance to the Behavioral Health Treatment Court Collaborative. Those are treatment courts that come together and work together and identify some shared practices, as well as supported employment. I know many of you probably know that supported employment is an evidence-based practice of moving individuals with mental illness to a competitive employment. The GAINS Center is operated, as we stated before, by Policy Research Associates since 1995. Our main offices are located in Del Mar, New York, with remote employees throughout the country. For example, Melissa is from North Carolina, and I'm from New York City, but shortly to be a resident of Albany, New York. We also currently operate several of the national TA centers: the National Center for Mental Health and Juvenile Justice, the SMVF Center, SOAR, as well as the POUR program. And before getting started and providing you with an overview, it looks like many folks are perhaps not on the line. And what we'd like for you to do is, at this point, I'm assuming that you may not be able to participate in the phone conversation, as well as not having access to your PC. What we'd like for you to do is, after this call, to send us an email. You know our email address from the announcements that we sent you, and let us know that you were on the call. We're really excited. I'll provide you with an overview of the Peer and Family Integration Shared Values Affinity Group. And before we get started, as Miriam said, we're really talking about meaningful integration. We're really talking here. We're talking about peers and family members being a fundamental part of the assistant outpatient treatment programs, not on the edges or not relegated to minimal roles, but really fully integrated in the projects. We're excited to let you know that this particular affinity group, we're going to have quarterly calls and webinars, and you all will really drive what the subject matter is for the quarterly calls, as well as the webinars that we schedule. They are open to peer staff, family members, supervisors, committee members, treatment partners, community-based organizations that you are partnering with, as well as advocacy groups that you're partnering with. And here are the goals briefly. We really want to work hard together to develop a shared values for AOT projects and for working with each other. And later on, we're going to engage in an exercise of, really coming together about some shared values around how you all would like for this group to be conducted. And importantly, we really want this group to promote greater collaboration between peers, family members, and just a moment. I've lost my PC, for shared family members and the like. We really want to emphasize how important it really, really is for peers and family members to engage in shared learning. We often, because of the projects we work on, don't have an opportunity to work together, and we're really excited by having this opportunity to really work together in a substantive way. Here's the rationale for the group. And briefly, it's an exciting opportunity. This is one of the few programs that we work with where, from the very beginning, there's an acknowledgement that peers and family members are going to be working together. We've really got to identify historically peers and family members, for a number of reasons, and we'll discuss some of them later in this presentation, have not necessarily really worked together. There are many barriers, and there's no need, we're not going to go into detail right now about them. We'll go into details, a little bit further detail later, but historically there's been some tension between the two groups, particularly around assisted outpatient treatment. There's a need for family members and peers to really develop effective strategies to overcome these barriers. The GAINS Center is extremely committed to all of us being open and honest about what those barriers are, whether they're systems barriers or personal barriers, and really develop strategies to overcome them. we also want to develop shared values that guide the collaboration of peers and family members. And last but not least, we really want to work together to identify effective strategies that really facilitate your successful involvement in the AOT projects. Now, I'd like to open this up, and what we're going to do is we're going to open the lines, and for those of you, and we're going to keep notes. So for those of you that are just joining the web portion and can't speak, if you'll look to your right, there's a chat box, and please share your comments with us. What shared values should guide the work of this affinity group? And by that we mean, what can we really expect from each other in terms of how we conduct business, how we work with each other, the kinds of values that we really, really want to adhere to as we begin our work. So would anyone like to start off? Okay. I don't want to call on folks. And for example, an example of a shared value is that we really want us to respect each other. That in any discussions that we have, that we're respectful of each other's point of view. And that we also listen carefully to each other. And that we, really work together to problem solve and to really be be the pioneers in terms of informing the field about what it takes for family members and peers to really work with each other. Anyone else have a shared value that they'd like to share with the group?
I would say probably honesty.
Honesty. Oh, that's great. Far too often we censor. That's a wonderful, wonderful comment. We censor our comments with each other. You know, that we don't say what we mean and we don't mean what we say. And we really think that it's important that this group be honest. We can be respectful as well as being honest. Anyone else like to share? Do you have anything else to share about identifying shared value? And while Karen's typing, is there anyone else who would like to speak? And again, this is just these are values that maybe you're familiar with in terms of the kinds of groups that you worked with previously, whether it's a committee or an advocacy group. Does anyone else have anything to share? How about Betsy? Do you have a value that you'd like for this group to really adhere to as we begin the work of our work? Okay, we're still waiting for Karen. Mari, would you like to share something in the chat box? Okay. Pete, would you like to, I see Pete, if you're on the line, I'd like for you to share a value that you think should guide the work of this affinity group.
Yeah, I think one of the shared values that's popped up in a few of the other groups that I've been a part of that has been really helpful is consistency. Just with people coming to meetings and being consistent in just active participation. Here I am waiting till I get called on, but just showing up and being a part of things each time is going to help us move forward, I think.
That's absolutely. Consistency is critical. Far too often, I think, Pete, you're spot on. We start these groups and folks come in, come out, that there's lukewarm commitment. And so we really want the Gaines Center as well as SAMHSA is deeply committed to being present and supporting this group as it evolves. And that's we are making to you. Well, Karen says, let's be mindful of the persons we get to serve, or that we get to serve are supported by both family and peers, as well as keeping them in the forefront. Excellent point. To always be, excellent point, Karen. And Mari says, I think that it's important to be understanding and to acknowledge the hard work that each of us contribute to the work that we do. That's great. Anyone else? Miriam Afala, would you like to? I know that you've kind of been at the forefront of the development of this affinity group. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Maybe Miriam, I'll leave that to her to comment.
Okay. And Melissa, is there anything that you, go ahead, I'm sorry.
This is Miriam. I was on mute and I'm talking again. I'm sorry. As I said, we are very excited for this group to be rolled out, and we have it, I think, every month. Is that right?
It's a quarterly call.
Quarterly call.
Miriam,
okay.
Quarterly call, but I will have office hours, and on an as-needed basis, if things arise and there's an interest, quite naturally that the Gains team will be flexible.
Okay. Yeah, whatever is needed, but this is really wonderful that we can spread the word that how important the families and consumers, those clients are to the foundation of the SAMHSA grants, and we are needing their feedback, their involvement, their participation, and their kind of, if it is integrated in a way that everybody can benefit from this group forum and progress and whatever that would be great. So we need your feedback, and participation is very important.
So if anyone would like to share anything before we move on, anything that we may have missed. So briefly, we're going to respect each other. We're going to listen to each other. We as a group are going to be consistent in terms of our participation in this group. We're going to put the folks that we're serving up front and center to the work that we do, both the folks we're serving as well as their families. And that we must always acknowledge the hard work that each of us contributes to the work that we do. And I also want to echo, we must also honor the significant contributions that you all are making to the project. And, if we've missed anything, if you go home tonight, like I do, when you think about something, please let us know, and you can just email us if we've left something out. But thank you for all of you that shared. Here are some of the this is a discussion, and, it'll help us set some of the priorities for the group. Based upon, you all have a kind of a real varied experience in terms of your roles, whether you identify yourself as a family member or a peer. What have been some of the historical challenges that you feel that peers and families have experienced in working together? And this can be based on your own work or your own readings or, any base of knowledge that you have. Well, I'll start the discussion off. I mean, one of the historical challenges has often been, bringing family members and peers together to talk. That has been a challenge because often within the peer movement, it's been really focused on people with lived experience and less so with family involvement, with families and family members. And so it's really, that's, one of the historical challenges, again, has been really just getting folks at the same table to really work through, as Mari said, some of the, Mari and Karen acknowledged some of the difficult things that we are going to get through together. And I guarantee you we'll emerge better folks for the work that we do. Anyone else? Okay.
This is Marian. Go ahead, please.
Go ahead. We heard a attendee speak. Can you give us your name?
Oh,
and
I'm
your
sorry.
comment?
I was gonna. I'm Brendan. I was gonna say that I would think that maybe family members might be hesitant to work with peers, perhaps not understand the value of lived experience fully, and be hesitant to work with a more diverse population.
Okay, thank you. Miriam?
Yeah, that was a great feedback. I was thinking that with basic communication between the family member and the member themselves and the rest of the treatment team would be really, really crucial. Yeah. And what they actually expect from the people. They make the expectation very clear and improve communication.
Yeah, thank you. That has been some of the challenges. There have also been challenges around language, how we identify each other, how we define recovery. In my work, I've often learned that, peers sometimes don't really understand some of the fears that family members have for their adult children and don't necessarily, have some challenges in understanding really some of the choices that families make, in terms of supporting the recovery of their loved one. Anyone else?
So Laverne, this is Dan. Question boils down to me about some of the historical challenges, and it's a question that we start some of our workshops with. Are we talking about service-resistant people who are resistant to services, or are we talking about services that are resistant to the people that we're serving, right? And so, where families get caught up in this is they want what's best, obviously, for their husband, their daughter, their son, and when that person needs help and the families are advocating, they can't get the responsivity that they need at the time that they need it. And very often there's real tragedy there. Sometimes the fragmentation of the service system gets reframed as the person won't accept our services, when really the services can be very hard to access. So the family members get, there's a push-pull between the services and ordering people to services, and you have that discussion sometimes with the families. On the other hand, when you talk to the people who are receiving those services, they don't find the services that friendly. They don't want the services for legitimate reasons. And I think that's where people with lived experience can come in to help, one, educate the system on how to provide better services, but also to engage people who might not be ready to take that next step. So to me, it's kind of a question of engagement and improving our services. And sometimes I think families and then the people who are receiving the services end up facing off against each other, when really it's a larger question.
Yeah. Anyone else before we move it to the next question? And
I think what Dan is saying is really very, very good point. This is Miriam, and I also add the family education. Family and member-centered education is very important, and education about the program, especially AOT, what it AOT means, how it can be, thinking about reserving the rights, civil and legal rights of the individual. So education is very important, that they really truly understand what is this all about and how they can receive benefits from the program.
Yeah. And I can share with you as both a family member and a peer is that I often find that duality often creates conflict within myself, about knowing and understanding in some ways what recovery is, but also understanding, for example, that my son, at this point, the services that he's getting are the best services that are available to him at this time. And really being able to accept that and really working with him and his service providers to make sure that he does have access to recovery support services, and most importantly, that he's prepared to come out to have a wonderful, full life in the community and to really achieve his, greatest potential. Anyone else before we move to the next question? Okay. What do you feel will be most helpful in assisting this group in developing a shared sense of values with respect to AOT that can promote the relationship building and collaboration between peers and family members? What do you think? I think we've identified some things when we talked about what the values are. But what kinds of things would be most, what other things would be most helpful? Okay. For example, one thing to think about is really, really having those of you who are peers really talk about recovery. My experience is that, recovery, folks need to taste it, feel it, really see it in order, use all of their five senses and really understand what promotes recovery and what can support both the peer and their family members in their journey to recovery. So, often really defining what we mean in terms of the terms that we use and reaching some common ground regarding that terminology, I found really goes a long way towards really building powerful and honest relationships, but really promotes recovery, promotes collaboration. Anyone else would like to share anything with us? Karen is typing, and we'll wait for her. But anyone else have any thoughts? And this could be really based on your previous experiences just in relationship building and working with folks who perhaps you've never worked with before. Okay. Well, while we're waiting
this is Miriam again.
Mm-hmm.
Who's talking?
Go ahead, Miriam. You can speak.
I was saying that I am a family member as well, and it is the role of the peer is so sensitive, and they are the liaison between family and the member who is having lived experiences. Sometimes family, because of the family relationship and so many, difficulties that they are facing with, they are not as productive to help the member, the person with lived experiences, the person SMI who is going through really difficult times. So this peers can be a very wonderful liaison between the member and the family member to just kind of create a balance in the family and help communicating and help fostering this relationship. Mm-hmm. And they can be even trusted, more trusted than the family of the origin. So that is very significant.
Thank you, Miriam. Would anyone else like to share? I think Karen said basically, this is a wonderful comment, Karen. Karen says really that it may be helpful to ask her own family what helped them with me, and that can really be the basis of some knowledge in terms of really working with the family members that are in this group. And Karen also added that it helps to open the conversations with other family members that she works with. Excellent. Yeah. Anyone else?
Well, I think building on Karen's point, Laverne, I think, the local NAMI chapters, some of them are more resource-rich than others, but again, working with the different communities, NAMI is just a fabulous resource to families. So if you're developing AOT in your program, how, what NAMI's strategic plan is, or as far as, letting the families within their networks know about the program and being a resource for utilizing the program, and also partners for having that, for this initiative, right? For finding some shared values between peers and families within their own communities. I'm also wondering, if at some point it might be worthwhile for a certain NAMI chapter that's done a lot of work here, and I know Ohio probably has several, Betsy. They might even be guests on a call to talk about the family involvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe we have Betsy on the line. So Betsy, while we're talking about, I know you were involved with the NAMI in Ohio. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to share with the group at this point in the conversation. Okay. Okay. So we're going to move. I don't know whether Betsy is still on the line, but what we'll do is you will have an opportunity, as Dan said, to really, engage with NAMI and to really talk about the work that NAMI is doing, as well as the Treatment Advocacy Center, which is also works with the Gaines Center in connection with this grant program. So moving quickly, what do you think some of the priorities should be at this group? Okay. So I think one of the things is, for both family members, and I'm just going to start the conversation because I'm an attorney and I don't like quiet, that we really need to think of ourselves as bridges. Bridges to family members, bridges to the consumer who's getting the services, as well as bridges to the treatment teams, to really bring in that voice of family members, as defined by the peer, him or herself, which, as Miriam said, may not be the family of origin, but also the treatment teams to really take seriously the roles that we can really have in helping folks recover and live a fruitful life in the community. Anyone else? Okay. One of the things, again, and I'll just briefly say, you all are pioneers with this group. And one of the things that we really hope comes out of the hard work that we anticipate that we'll be doing is really, really, really to provide some guidance to the field about how really family members and peers can really work collaboratively and support and make AOT programs and other kinds of programs successful. So we'll, as my colleagues and I through the Gaines Center do this work, often we're going to rely on the feedback that you all give us, because later on we'll be sharing it with other programs. Anyone else before we move to the next slide? Okay. Here are the next steps I want you to think about. And you don't have to answer these questions now, but I really want you to think deeply. Is there anyone who needs to be invited to this group, to participate in this group? We reached out to your project directors and others regarding recommendations, but many of you may know other peers and family members that are working or involved in the projects in various ways. So, we'd appreciate you letting us know if there's someone who you feel would be a great addition to this group. One of the other things that we'd like for you to think about, we don't want the 3 months or so that go by before the next quarterly call to be that we're not in contact with each other and we're not doing some of the work that needs to be done. We also don't want to lose momentum. So we're going to ask you, kind of the kind of work that would be most helpful for all of you during the periods where we're not having a quarterly call. Does anyone have any ideas before we move on? Okay. So we really want you to think about it. I'm going to be conducting office hours, and I'm going to be reaching out to you all around times during the week that really work. And as our colleague said, I really want to be consistent. So I will have regular office hours, taking into account the time difference that exists between the 17 grantees and also work schedule. And I'm excited about that, and really that's an open session for you all, if someone wants to call or has an idea, to really reach out to us and receive support around if you need resources or whatever to take advantage of those sessions. Finally, we'd like to schedule as best as we can our next quarterly call. And then we're going to move to see some resources. And I'm going to rely on my colleagues from the Gaines Center to kind of propose a few dates for the next quarterly call. And so that would be, that's going to be approximately, 3 months or so from this call.
Laverne, this is Miriam. I would like to know how we can strategize this so that we can get more participants from the program on the call.
Yeah. I think what we're going to do is, again, we're going to rely on the folks on the call here today to make some recommendations, but we'll also make calls to the emails and then follow-up calls to the project director, and answer any questions they have about the group. Okay. And if anyone else has any suggestions, please, this is a learning community as well, and let us know about what we really can do to reach out to other folks that would be great additions. Karen, before we move on, Karen also stated that one of the priorities of the group is really destigmatizing both mental illness for everyone, but particularly for peers, the peers receiving services as well as the family members that are supporting their recovery. So I'm going to ask the group, would it be better for us to send you out a doodle poll for the next date that'll allow all of you, particularly those of you that are not on a PC with your calendar, to provide us with some dates that really work for all of you? Okay, Karen is saying, please, a doodle poll is good. So what that will, since Karen is the only one that voted, and Mari, that is what we'll do. And if you don't, for whatever reasons, have access to a PC or where you can do the doodle poll or what have you, because we know that, folks may or may not have access to it, just email us about what days, give us a few days that work for you in early, as early in March as we can, because we really like to get things rolling. Brendan is typing now, so we'll wait for Brendan's comments to come up. Brendan, you can, if you're on mute, you can unmute your phone and speak.
Oh, I was just asking what a doodle poll was. I'd never heard the term before, but
you'll get an email that. Hey, Brendan, I didn't know either, so it's okay. When I started, I thought it was, something where you doodle and whatever. So the bottom line, you'll be receiving an email with a link, and you'll click on the link. And what Ashley and Cassandra will do is to provide a few dates that work within the time frame. Because again, we want to make sure. All right.
Perfect.
So
okay, cool.
And if you have any difficulty or you have any questions, that's what we're here for. But,
all right. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Does anyone have any other? You're welcome. Does anybody have any other questions or comments before we end the call?
Laverne, this is Fola. I was going to say, are we going to send this out to all the other grantees so we can just kind of emphasize the importance of their peers participating in this Affinity call?
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe
what we'll do is absolutely. What we typically will do is we will send out the link to both the audio as well as the slides. So that folks, and that's great. A reminder for us, so that folks can really get a feel for kind of what we did today, what our approach is, and be motivated to become involved. So thank you. Any other questions and comments? Well, before we close, there's one other thing I wanted to add in terms of some shared values. I really want us to create a safe space for this group, and a safe space where folks are able to develop a trust with each other, and that they feel safe enough to really talk about some of the potentially difficult issues we're going to talk about. Not issues that cannot be addressed or overcome, but things that we really need to get down to the nitty-gritty, to strip away some of the veneer that impacts on our relationships with each other, and really dig down, do some digging and layer upon layer so that, basically we're able to really have those kinds of frank conversations with each other, because we know that, with the work that we do with each other is really, really important. So I think Karen has another comment, and what we'll do is once Karen, Karen just says thank you. Oh, it's my honor. So on behalf of the Gaines Center, I'll let Miriam and I'll have the final comment. We just want to thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to work with you all. The work that you do is really, really important. The Gaines Center has always been very, very, in all the projects we work on and the TH centers we run, consumer and family, peer and family involvement is a priority. I'd like to emphasize that we're here for technical assistance and support. There are no wrong questions, and also the other thing is we'll figure out a way, we're going to send you an email and ask you, can we share your email with the group? Because often you all are going to be the experts ultimately, and we really want to encourage all of you to communicate with each other offline when we don't have anything scheduled. So Miriam, would you like to make some final comments?
I just wanted, go ahead, who's talking?
This is Melissa. I just wanted to jump in right quick and remind folks about the office hours as well, and just so that anyone, if you have something that you don't necessarily want to work on this call, certainly reach out to Laverne. She's available for office hours each month, and we want that to be another opportunity for us to provide the technical assistance that you all need in your sites around this topic. So I just wanted to raise that quick reminder.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Melissa. And we're, I'm on my PC all the time, and so, we one thing about my colleagues is that we will get back to you on a timely basis as quickly as we can. You can call or you can email, and we'll ensure basically that there's no lag time, unreasonable lag time between your question or your expression of a need and our attending to that question or need. And I'll turn it over to our colleagues and partners from SAMHSA for closing comments.
Okay, thank you, Laverne, and thanks to Gaines Center staff. I really appreciate that. On behalf of SAMHSA, we thank everybody who is participating in this webinar, and we are hoping that it has been helpful to you. But please remember that we pay attention and we value your feedback, your opinion, and please keep your feedback coming, and please participate in these webinars in the future. Thank you so much again. Bye-bye.
And Fola, do you have any comments to make before we close?
No, I agree and go along with everything Miriam just said. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. So without further ado, what we'll do is we'll close, give you a few minutes, well, we're 2 minutes to the close. We want to wish you all a happy and safe and wonderful holiday season. Please check your emails. Some of you, may have your browser, set for some, junk mail or whatever. We want to ensure that if you don't receive something or whatever, that you actually, you check to make sure that some of your, our email address ends in a com, and some of your, often folks, particularly folks that work for the state and the like, may have some difficulty receiving our emails. So we just want to make sure that you've gotten our emails. If you've gotten them okay up till now, there is no problem. You should be getting them on a regular basis. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you for all of the work that you do. We're looking forward to working with you, and we really hope that this is a meaningful experience for all of you, as well as the family members and peers that you're working with. And be well. Bye-bye.